call the meeting to order, please?
Okay. Okay, Tom, thanks.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the University of Missouri St. Louis and our final Board of Curators meeting for the year. As always, it's great to be on the campus and see so many familiar faces. And of course, a special welcome to those who are joining us live over the internet or Twitter. Today's meeting marks my last as board chair. The opportunity to have served in this capacity for the past year has been a tremendous honor for me. Not something I sought or I ever intended. It has nevertheless been a gift that has allowed me to share and advocate my passion, this great institution, the University of Missouri. I came across this quote not too long ago in my readings. God is the creator of all things, and when it comes to expressing gratitude in my heart, that's where it starts. This certainly is true for me. Those of you who know me know I have great faith and belief, and you also know that I'm extremely grateful for those who have led me to this place at this time in this place. First of all, I would give credit to my parents who instilled in me, K through 12, important time, a desire to learn. And that culminated for me at my first degree, which was at UMC, and my nursing degree, which I was proud of those students that we listened to this morning. 32 years later, I got my master's. 32 years later. And I did that because of distance education. So that's why this internet access and the distance learning is so very important to me. Coming from a rural background, living in a place where I couldn't access where I could get a master's degree without leaving home and leaving my family. So I know firsthand the value of education, and I'm so proud to play just a small role in the education of our next generation. My thanks to all the people who have come before me on the Board of Curators, especially the women. I'm one of 19 to have served since 1933, and one of only 10 to serve as chair. I'm proud and honored to be among such elite company. And to former women curators I've served with, including Cheryl Walker and Marion Cairns, thank you for providing me with wonderful role models. And to all of you who join me at the center tables each meeting, I thank you all. I thank you for your support this year. And I've learned so much from each one of you. Thank you for that. I also want to say to Bo, I've been honored to follow you as chair, and your example has been a guiding light in my tenure. I thank you for your help and your support. You and our departing board members are going to be really, really missed. To University administration, you've all been an invaluable resource to me. I've learned much from all of you. Your counsel, your wisdom, and your insight have been so welcomed and appreciated. Perhaps this quote from Oscar Wilde summarizes it best. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest of intentions. You've showered me with kindnesses, and I am forever grateful. To President Forsey, personally, though he isn't with us today, you've been a wonderful teacher and a great support to me, and I hope you and Sherry can feel our support and our strength. We're all keeping you and your family close in our thoughts and prayers. Now I can switch, get my bearings. In addition to this being my last board meeting as chair, it's also the last board meeting of the year. So I thought it fitting that we spend a moment reflecting on our tremendous year, including the university's many successes, particularly in light of continuing budget challenges. There are, of course, too many to list, but a few stand out as particularly noteworthy. Capital project financing for university buildings and infrastructure. Numerous successes on the economic development front, including the creation of the Enterprise Investment Program, and changes on collected rules regarding student IP. Our time in the national spotlight with the ESPN College Game Day, will you ever forget that? And of course, changes in the Big Ten and the Big 12. Flat tuition for in-state undergraduate students this past year. Another year of record-breaking enrollment on our 4 campuses. The recruitment and the addition of a wonderful new colleague to the board, Cindy Harmon. And our legwork with the retirement program. This list, though long, in no way represents the depth and breadth of university activities, particularly on our 4 campuses. It does, however, symbolize the hard work of our administration and the commitment of my fellow curators to continue to steer the university on its course of excellence. For that, I say thank you to you all. One success I'd like to pay particular attention to this morning is the tremendous progress we've made in broadening our e-learning initiative. You've heard me talk throughout the year about the numerous milestones we've made along our continuing journey. But today, I'm proud to say that the development is underway on a new, comprehensive, system-wide portal for online teaching and learning. As a personalized one-stop access point for the 4 University of Missouri campuses, this portal will aggregate and provide comprehensive, consistent, and seamless access to a wide range of resources, services, and applications for students and for faculty. The common online infrastructure also will facilitate inter-campus collaboration while still enabling campuses to maintain their autonomy, identity, culture, and brand. As the number of online students continues to grow and the University of Missouri increases its presence in this market, the unique needs of an online distance learner will require a different configuration of tools and services to support them in their academic mission. This portal is just the ticket. With that, I am happy to turn the podium over to Academic Affairs for your first sneak peek at the developing portal.
Well, thank you, Curator Haggard. What I'm going to show you today is just a brief overview of what we've sketched out so far for the portal. We've only been in development a few weeks, so it's still very early in what this design actually will look like and what the functionality may deliver. As you see on this first page here, this would be the landing page for the portal from the system perspective. So this would be if a student has done a Google search maybe and searched for online classes and found Missouri, it could land here or it could land on one of the campuses, and I'll show you that example in a few minutes. So it's got a nice layout, lots of white space. It's got a news blast section in the middle. It's got a calendar on the right. But what I want to focus on for this demonstration is finding a class, because that's what I think most students will do when they come into this environment. So here we're going to do a quick search for a biology class. And since they came to the system portal, it's going to search across all 4 campus catalogs. Okay? So we'll do a search for biology. And you can see here, this is what the results brought back. There's a MU campus result, UMSL, MS&T, and UMKC. Gives the course number, course title, who the instructor is, and how many seats are left. This is something we're experimenting with to see if this is something that students would appreciate. This last column is the social networking aspect we're trying to bring into this. Much like Facebook has likes, if anyone's on Facebook, they have the thumbs up likes comment. This would allow students to go in and say, I like this course. This is a great course. It really made me think differently about science. So let's take a little deeper dive into this course and what it might look like. So we click on this Bio 1010 course, and you get just a general introduction to the course. If there's additional information provided by the faculty or by the campus or department, we'd be able to link to it here. We have information about the instructor, their academic title, where they got their degree, when it was conferred, and in this individual was actually a Kemper Teaching Award winner. We can now take a closer look into the actual course. So this instructor has created an overview video for students to take a look, to give them a chance to meet the instructor and see if this is going to be a good fit, whether teaching style fit for the student. So I'll watch a few moments of this.
My name is Dr. Robin Hurst. I'll be your instructor for Bio 1010. I'd like to take this opportunity to provide an overview of the course and my philosophy so you know.
So you kind of get an idea. She would introduce the students. Hey, this is my teaching philosophy. This is how I approach the course. It's problem-based learning course or whatever the case may be. She's also taken the opportunity to take a deeper dive into the actual course. So the student,
Now I want to go down.
the student can also go in and actually look at the course management system
Here's the routine.
and go take a peek inside of the course and can see and listen to the instructor. This is what the assignments are going to look like. This is how they're going to be graded. This is what maybe sample questions for on an exam may appear. And the last thing could be a syllabus. So it would bring up the syllabus. The instructor or the student could then view the syllabus and say, hey, this looks like an interesting course. I think it might fit for me. This last tab here is the buzz, back to that social networking aspect that I mentioned a while ago. So here, students would be able to, we're playing with this idea to see if students would be interested in adding comments to an instructor's course or about the instructor themselves. So they have the ability to write a full text, the ability to provide full text, and maybe then, in this case here, a student actually has created a video of their experience with this course.
Different than the traditional teaching methods. It's almost online, which allowed me and my classmates to learn at our own pace as well as our own ability.
So I think this is very powerful for the students to be able to add feedback back to a course. If a student is able to get this feedback from another student, it's probably as powerful or more powerful than an advisor maybe saying, you should take Bio 1010, it's a good course. If you can hear this from another student, you can go, oh, I know that girl. We took history together, and I liked her, and I think that was I think I would like what she likes. If we're ready to apply for this course, we would hit this button here, and it would take us to, in this case, Mizzou's My Zoo section, and they would go ahead and do the application and registration process. What we've done so far is, from a system perspective, the student doesn't have a relationship with any of the 4 campuses yet, so it's just kind of, I'm a new student, I'm new to any of the institutions, and it's kind of, it has the system brand to it. Now let's look at it from a St. Louis perspective. Say a student did a search for a course and came up, or did a search for UMSL online. They would likely hit a site like this. It looks very similar in the functionality to the other system page, but it's branded for St. Louis. And this would be true across the other 3 campuses. So if we do that same search here for a course in biology, we would then get only UMSL-related courses. So by default, then, if the student has a relationship with that institution, or they came in from the UMSL perspective, then they're only going to get UMSL-related courses. Now, the student could, if they don't find the course they want, they could go to the filter and add additional campuses that they could then go and search across. So if we click on one of these, it would then take us to the course that's offered here from the St. Louis campus. And then here, yep, this is a course I want to go ahead and apply and register. I would hit this, and it takes the student directly into their student information system where they can complete that transaction and become a student in that course. Okay, the last few slides I want to show you is from a student perspective. They already have a relationship with the campus. They are registered. They've been approved to take courses, and this is now their portal. So they've logged in. This is the access that they would have to the portal. Everything we've seen thus far was really any student could get to the screens we got to a while ago. But from this point forward, you had to be a student with a relationship with one of the campuses. So here, this is where the courses would be listed out. In this case, it may be all 3 UMSL courses, or maybe one of the courses the student couldn't pick up at UMSL and he decided to take it from another campus. It would also be listed here as well. If we expand this one out, we can get more information about the instructor, what his office hours are, what assignments are due, and oh, he made an announcement here. I'll go check and see what they've said. So we can click on announcements. Takes us directly into the course management system. This is where all the PowerPoints and all the lecture materials are held and any announcements are made. The last tab I want to cover is the services. As Judy had said in the introduction, that the needs for the online student is slightly different than they are for the face-to-face student. And they're going to need additional services or different services than what the face-to-face students need. And probably the most important one would be a 24/7 ability to get help. If the student is traditional online student, they're probably 37 to 40 years old. They probably have a family, they probably have a full-time job, they probably put the kids to bed, and then they may not get online until 10:30, 11 at night. It's probably something you did, Judy, actually. And so if they run into an issue and they can't log in, their education process stops. So they need access to these types of services. Could also offer tutoring, maybe a writery could be in there, links to the campus bookstore, and so on. If you view the portal kind of like your bank, when you log into your online banking, you have access to your checking account, your savings accounts, maybe a loan, maybe a CD you got out there, all in one location. Think of the portal the same way for educational resources for our students. I think it's a great opportunity for us to aggregate all this information. We could have done all this. We would have had to go to 10 or 12 different sites, multiple logins to accomplish the same thing. The way it's being designed, it'll be one login. All this information will be aggregated into one location based on who you are. It'll know you're an UMSL student, you get UMSL content. You're a Rolla student, you get Rolla content. We're shooting for a go-live date of spring break of this spring for phase 1, and then phase 2 to come in the summer or fall. Any questions on the portal? Turn it over to Steve.
Thanks, Zach. As you can see, this is an area where we've been working all year and trying to develop tools and things that will help the campuses. It's such an exciting area. Every week something new comes out. Every month there's a new article in the Chronicle about a state that's taken on a different initiative or whatever. You've seen some of the possibilities that we have to use this as a learning tool when we were down in Springfield and we saw the vet med case study and how it was deployed and those kinds of materials. So it's really going to help us rethink how we do education, how it shapes it, both in the classroom as an augment and for students like Judy and others online. So we're trying to build the tools to allow our great faculty to present their stuff to students all over the state and really beyond, but most of them will come from Missouri. So anyway, I just want to thank you for kind of your support. Thank Curator Haggard for her excitement and interest in e-learning. We, hope to be able to give you kind of periodic updates throughout the coming years, and we'll continue to work. If you have questions or want to see some of the stuff, just let us know. But I do appreciate your support, and we'll look to some exciting events in the coming next couple of years. Thank you.
I'm glad you got all that electronic stuff out of the way as I read off my yellow pad. Well, good morning to everyone assembled here today and to those who are listening by webcast. President Forsey sends his greetings and his best wishes. Our December board meeting is traditionally one of recognition and thanks. And I'd like to begin today by extending a very special thanks to our 4 departing curators, John Carnahan, Doug Russell, David Wassinger, and Bo Frazier. We want to express our appreciation to each of them and their families for their tireless support and their investment of time in pursuing accessible and quality higher education for all Missourians. Last night at a wonderful dinner hosted by Chancellor George, we had a chance to more fully express our gratitude to John, Doug, David, and Bo. I do not intend to repeat all of last night's accolades, some of which were true. But I would like to say officially on behalf of President Forsey, me, and the entire university family, thanks to each of you for your valuable and selfless service to the University of Missouri. We will have some special time later on today to thank each of our 4 friends individually and in some more specific ways. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Chair Judy Haggard for her leadership on the board this year. Judy, through your emphasis on the university's e-learning initiative, you have quietly but assertively prepared the university to better serve the needs of our students and better accommodate their preferred methods of learning. We are a better university because of your dedication, leadership, and vision, and at this time, we all extend our thanks. And Judy, as your general counsel, I want to personally thank you for your merit-based decision-making over the past year that we have spent together as lawyer and client. I also want to thank all of you for the many kind wishes you have sent to Sherry and Gary. I know that they very much appreciate your prayers and good wishes. The university's website has received literally hundreds of notes from well-wishers. I know these expressions are a valuable source of strength to the Four Cs during these challenging times, and so I, on their behalf, thank you. It goes without saying that as we pray for Sherry's full recovery, we look forward to Gary's return on a full-time basis. Until then, however, we are grateful that he continues to be available to each of us as we need him, and I am particularly grateful that he is available to me on a daily basis. Pending his return, there are many dedicated and talented people across the system and our campuses who are making an extra effort to make sure the great work of this university continues unaltered and uninterrupted. Here are some examples. On Wednesday of this week, the board held an executive committee meeting as scheduled and approved issuance of $252 million in low-interest Build America bonds. This effort was headed up by Treasurer John Miller and Vice President Nikki Krawitz. These bonds will help finance critical campus projects and create meaningful jobs within the state. Yesterday, we heard from Steve Graham about the leadership role our university is playing in the National Center for Academic Transformation, in the effective use of e-learning applications to improve student outcomes, and in meeting the governor's challenge to increase collaboration on academic programs and student success. These important academic initiatives and Dr. Graham's good work will continue in the weeks and months to come. We also heard from Nikki Krawitz yesterday on the long-standing financial challenges the university has faced over the years and the variety of ways we are currently pursuing funding stability. Her analysis on tuition needs will continue on in due course so that we will be prepared to bring an early recommendation on tuition to the board in January if necessary. Earlier this year, we recognized a significant number of new legislative officials who will begin working in Jeff City in January, so the university's legislative agenda kicked off months ago. As we heard from Steve Canor yesterday, our legislative priorities and budget requests for 2012 were set and communicated to our stakeholders in September, and our chancellors are now finishing up a series of campus information sessions this month. We also heard yesterday on an important update from Betsy Rodriguez on the year-long analysis of the university has undertaken to evaluate its retirement program. The hard work of Betsy and the advisory committee will continue on schedule with evaluation sessions again next week. And today you will hear from our chancellors, who will present an impressive litany of progress and success across our 4 campuses. And while I don't want to steal their thunder, well, perhaps I do, because they have some exciting news, ranging from a $6 million in new endowed chairs on one campus, to some new global academic partnerships, to new donor investments in scholarships and facilities, and to the huge potential for an innovative prostate cancer treatment. Though we miss President Forsey and look forward to his return, we remain very much focused on keeping on schedule and ultimately achieving the important strategic priorities and initiatives of the university. As I told the general officers, all of whom have been very supportive of me, it's time like these when people reveal their best, and I'm pleased to report that the people of the university are revealing their best. President Forsey and I extend our personal thanks to all who are joining together in this effort, and each of us extends our best wishes to each of you for the holiday season. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to call up the chancellors to report on the campuses, beginning with Jack Carney.
Good morning, everyone. I know we're in tough financial times, but we're spending a little bit of our gift money at S&T to promote the university. We've got 3 billboards up, one northeast of Rolla on Interstate 44, one southwest of the campus, and we also have one on I-70 right around the airport. And that's what it looks like. We had to resist the urge to put a lot of detail on the billboard. People are driving by at 70 miles an hour, but I hope you like that. We talked yesterday about chaired professorships and positions that are filled and not filled. I want to report on 3, actually 2.5 recent hires at S&T that are really going to have an impact on the university. My philosophy in filling these chaired professorships is the Larry Bird rule. These people have to make everyone around them better. And that's going to be the situation. Larry's my hero, by the way, because he was slow and he couldn't jump. Anyway, Dan Author is the new John and Susan Mathis, Missouri Chair of Civil Engineering. The endowment value of that position is $1.4 million. We stole Dan from the University of Cincinnati. You can look at his credentials. A couple of degrees from Northwestern, master's and PhD from Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And his area of research is environmental biotechnology, urban sustainability, and global development. And he's a real renaissance man. He's going to involve many different departments at S&T. Another really important hire for us, Professor Kayat. He's the new Vernon and Marilee Jones, Missouri Professor of Civil Engineering. Both of these people are in civil engineering, but they're interdisciplinary. 4 different degrees from Berkeley, up in Canada, running one of the country's largest concrete research operations in Canada, and he'll be joining us this summer. And the third position, I hesitated to put it on here, but it's so important. Wayne Loffer is a 72 grad of the university who recently gave us $3.3 million to fully fund an energy chair, and we are very close to reaching final agreement on filling that position. We also talked yesterday on student retention. And I'd like to give you some general information and also talk about a specific initiative we have in that area at Rolla. First of all, we're making progress with our 6-year graduation rate. 30 years ago, there was certainly a survival of the fittest mentality down in Rolla. We have tremendous student support now. And as you can see, our 6-year graduation rate is approaching our goal of 70%. This is an alarming statistic. Basically, there's a lot on here, but basically what it says is that depending on your socioeconomic situation, whether you come from a wealthy family or a poor family, your chances of success are greatly influenced. I was over in Britain in the 70s. This graph goes from the 1970 to the present day. I remember being over in Britain in the 70s and somebody telling me that this son of a farmer was getting his PhD in physics, and wasn't this unbelievable? And my reaction at the time was, why is that unbelievable? I mean, everybody has an equal opportunity to be successful in life. In those days in Britain, it wasn't so easy if you were the son of a farmer to get a PhD in physics. In those days in our country, again, you had an advantage if you were wealthy, but you could expect to be successful if you worked hard. But look at what's happened. If you're in the lower income brackets in this country today, your chances of success are greatly diminished. So this is a serious national problem that we have to face. With that as background, I'd like to quickly describe what we're doing to promote student success at the freshman level at S&T. We're trying to do more with academic advising and our student support services, peer mentoring where we have upper class students working with the freshmen and sophomores. But I want to zero in on our academic alert system. The vast majority of the students, the freshmen at Rolla take chemistry, general chemistry. 90% of our students have to take that course in their freshman year. We have very smart students at Rolla, but a subset of these freshmen have gotten through high school without breaking a sweat, didn't have to study very hard. They get into chemistry, for example, and after about 4 weeks, they're in trouble. They've got a D or an F, and this has never happened to them before, and how are they going to cope? So we have, in the fall of '09, as an example, after week 4, we had a significant number of students in this general chemistry course in trouble with a D or an F. So these students received an academic alert at that time. We call it an intrusive intervention. I'll describe a little bit what that means, but let me give you the result of this intrusive intervention, where whether they like it or not, they have to do something about this situation. More than half of these at-risk students in that course who had a D or an F after week 4 got either an A or a B or a C as their final grade. The problem with some of these freshmen is that they don't know what to do when they're having academic difficulty. They're unaware of the tools they can use to rectify their situation. Some of them don't realize what their skill sets lack, how to study effectively. We make the students take this learning and study strategy inventory program that's on the web that basically zeroes in on things they need to work on. The reaction of some of the students when they take this survey, some of them are happy, but others are sort of insulted that we're making them take this hard look at themselves. And when we meet one-on-one with some of these students and ask them, what's the single most important thing we could do to help to turn this around? And a surprising number of them said, well, you could tell my mother. The problem is we can't tell their mother unless they let us tell their mother. So we're going to actually be asking our students when they enter the university, would it be okay, do we have your permission to tell your mother when we need to? Okay, enough on that. I'd like to give you an update on our commencement. We're going to have our commencement a week from Saturday. And last year, in December, we had an all-time high in graduations, and this semester we're up 11% over last year. Bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, all greater than a year ago. And I'll close with giving you some statistics on our Career Opportunity Center. There's some real positive signs, certainly as far as engineering and science and the economy and the turnaround we hope. I hope this bodes well for the whole country. But in this calendar year, we had over 550 different companies interact with our campus. We had over 2,000 visits from these 550 companies. 42 states represented, 3 foreign countries. 57% of these companies came from outside Missouri. We had a 51% increase in the number of employer recruiting events this fall versus a year ago. And this fall, the Career Opportunity Center has serviced about half of the students at Missouri S&T. So there's all kinds of increased activity going on. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning. You've heard some important themes with the comments made by Curator Haggard and Chancellor Carney about gratitude at this time of year and new opportunities as we look to the future, particularly oriented toward educating the masses of the people, as Thomas Jefferson stated so clearly and really provided the foundations for the land-grant mission that we're trying to carry out at this time. And even as we look at our record growth to 32,415 students, we're projecting over 33,000 students as we look into the next fall. And we're only going to continue to fulfill that land-grant mission and Thomas Jefferson's vision if we are able to expand the pipeline. I just want to take a moment on this because it's so important to us in our university. The University of Missouri was a founding member of the National College Advising Corps, and we've had a $1 million grant from the Jack Kent Cook Foundation, and we're raising another $1 million in private funds to enable students in some of the critical high minority enrollment, low income areas of the state generate more students going to universities. We now have advisors, recent graduates of our university, who are positioned in 11 Missouri urban and rural high schools and 3 community colleges. 69% of those students are ethnic minorities, and 60% are the first in their families to go to college. And this program has been enormously successful. And let me just give you an idea of what we're talking about here in a couple of years that this program has been in motion. The Jennings High School in St. Louis has a 6% increase in students going to college. Salem in rural Missouri, a 9% increase in students going to college. Bourbon in rural Missouri, a 5% increase in students going to college. Van Horn in Independence, 12% increase in students going to college, and on and on. I could name others. This is very significant. This is addressing that demographic downturn that we have been so concerned about, and it's something that we feel so committed to. And our advisors out there, these are not students going to MU. These are students going anywhere to institutions. They're going, in fact, throughout the state, throughout the nation. And we're very proud of our success rate in expanding that pipeline. At the university, then, we continue to provide the kind of quality instruction that is so evident in what we do as a university. And our most recent award-winning faculty was Michael Smith in our Department of Animal Science, who received from the Department of Agriculture a major regional award, the North Central region of the United States, for excellence in teaching. And he represents the kind of faculty that on our campus produce 1,500 books and scholarly articles every year and generate the kind of quality research programs and momentum that we have experienced so significantly over this past year. So it is a time to give thanks to the kind of leadership that Hal Williamson and our Health Affairs and Bob Churchill, the Dean of School of Medicine, have been able to generate with $80 million in funding in our School of Medicine alone. Really a record success with some of the kind of grants that you see here. Over half of that money is from the National Institute of Health, and it's led to significant new breakthroughs in research with our adult and cardiovascular research system and our life sciences center generally, as well as harnessed in the School of Medicine. I want to give you just 3 slides that will illustrate some very key points about new partnerships that we're pursuing. I chair the International Commission of our National Land Grant Association. Peter McPherson, the head of that, president of that program, asked me to join him in a ministerial level conference in Uganda just the week before Thanksgiving. And there I spoke to the ministers of education, presidents of universities across southern Africa about the kind of partnerships that we're engaged in and what that means to the science we're developing and what it will mean ultimately for feeding the world. One of the most significant areas of interest in Africa is the medicinal qualities of plants. We have a very major $7.6 million NIH fund that has funded at Mizzou, one of 5 centers across the nation of botanical interaction studies devoted to addressing the dietary supplements and pharmaceutical applications of plants. One of the major thrusts related to this is looking at traditional treatments of plants in Africa for AIDS, for example. One of the, of course, devastating maladies that is affecting African development today. And Dr. Bill Folk in our School of Medicine leads that research work. We are partnered with the Missouri Botanical Gardens on the one hand for this work and with the Danforth Plant Science Center on the other, as are other parts of our university. Sam Wang, and not to take anything from Tom George, but just to add to the luster, really, of UMSL, has the Desmond Lee Professor in Plant Sciences at the Danforth Center. So we're linked in multiple ways to some of the most important work going on in the world today. That's been added to just recently by the Plant Genomics Award that we've received at the University of Missouri that links so effectively with other work in cellular functions, drought tolerance, maize genomics, critical issues affecting the plant world today. Top plant scientists like Melissa Mitchum, who's addressing the soybean resistance genes to defend against cyst nematode, a problem that takes $1 billion out of the economy of agriculture, soybean growers each year. And these are very, very critical research projects that are so important to the work of our university and indeed to the economy of our nation. We're continuing that with new recognitions for the excellence in autism research, and we just recently had a ribbon-cutting ceremony December the 3rd in Columbia, opening a new facility and welcoming our new executive director, Joel Bregman. This work is of national significance, and we expect to have the most prominent autistic work on autism in research and clinical treatments in the nation. And we've had significant work, of course, gifts from the Thompson family themselves that have led to this, along with additional grants that cuts across multiple disciplines at the university, in addition to medicine, education, and other areas of human development and family studies. Innovations continue and adding to our economic development. Peter Sutovsky, as many of you know, received the university's Entrepreneur of the Year Award. The innovations and intellectual property licensing has led to $9.5 million in licensing agreements and revenues this past year, 67 new patents, a significant growth that is continuing in every way to promote the state's economy. In June, I talked to you about Fu Heng Sheh, professor of food science, that had generated a new soy substitute that looks and tastes, and I've sampled it, and it chews even like chicken. So it was a great innovation then in scientific discovery. Now I'm pleased to report to you that this has just been licensed. This technology has been licensed to the J. Green Natural Foods Company. So we can expect to have more of this on our plate in the future. And again, another example of just fantastic work as we see the University of Missouri's Agricultural Experiment Station recognized for 8th in the nation in terms of impact in plant and animal science over the past decade, 8th in the nation, 15th in the world in terms of impact, scientific impact on how we're eating and the quality of life that we enjoy on a day-to-day basis. And in fact, that has contributed to the world's enjoyment. We were so pleased to see the public recognition given, if you've missed it, in Time Magazine, November the 22nd, Gabor Forgash, his Organova company and new technology in using cells to build body parts was recognized as one of the 50 top innovations of the year. And that work began with NSF funding of $5 million 5 years ago, and is now expected to produce a set of printers that will be across all universities in the first wave, and who knows how far that will go, but it's going to be significant. We expect to have ours in operation by the end of this year. Professor of physics, when NSF gave him the grant, they publicly said this is the most important research going on in the nation today. Human organs are vital for all of us. We can look to a bright future thanks to the work of our life scientists, including our physics department. We just celebrated the opening in our business incubator of a Shasoon collaboration. Shasoon is the maker of ibuprofen, an India company that's decided to invest with MU. Rob Duncan, our Vice Chancellor for Research, calls it reverse outsourcing. In other words, international investments coming in to team with the best knowledge that we have to produce, in this case, new treatments for cancer based on gold nanoparticle research, drawing on the nanoscience work of Katesh Kadi and Raghu Kannan, who are in our School of Medicine that you see in the middle of the picture here. This is important for a lot of reasons, because we have been spending some time looking at Richard Longworth's book, Caught in the Middle. I suggested, as we reviewed it in our staff, we rename that book, at least in how we talk about it, and say Positioned in the Middle. I mean, caught in the middle has a negative connotation that I don't like. You know, we got the coasts out here, and you got the middle of the country. We aren't caught here. We're positioned here. And we're positioned here with, as Longworth said, the future of this nation will be based on the work of our major research land-grant universities in the middle of our nation. This is a perfect example of it. It will attract the best financing and investment because we have some of the best ideas that can make a difference, not only in science, but in regenerating the American economy and ensuring that it's done in a balanced way across our nation. We see that happening now. This is one of the second major types of investments from international groups that have come to our business incubator, and we expect it to be only the second of many that will come in the future. Meanwhile, we will continue to enjoy, as we did this morning over breakfast, celebrating the UMSL athletic program. We are going to continue that here at MU for the next little bit. Some of you will be enjoying us, ranked 14th in the nation in football, going to the Insight Bowl against the Iowa Hawkeyes on December the 28th. And then this evening at 4 o'clock, not to be missed, is our volleyball team playing in the Sweet 16 against Duke at Penn State. We've had success across our athletic program, not only competitively with top 20 teams and so many of our athletic components of our athletic program, but also, most importantly for us, the emphasis on the student success of these students. We're tied for first in the Big 12 Conference with 6 of our teams leading the conference in graduation success rates. And in fact, 6 sports programs attained 100% graduation rate: women's basketball, women's golf, soccer, and women's swimming. I just attended the graduation of our 15 seniors on our football team who are going on to not only success, in some cases in the pro ranks, but success as citizens and as future business and government leaders because of the quality of education provided across the university and by our coaching staff and athletic program as well. So it's a good way to end the year on this kind of success. Thank you all so much. And any questions, we'd be happy to address.
Well, good morning. I thought I would talk about this past year. We've had a good year, and I would characterize it as another year of progress toward our mission. And I thought I would speak about some of the activities of the university in the context of our mission. For us, the next chart, please. Well, I guess I can do that up here. For us, it's all about students. Our success as a university is inextricably linked to the success of our students. So for us, we simply must attract new students, and we must assure their success. And what this chart is intended to demonstrate is that we are showing success there. In fact, one line I would point to is that our students of color on the campus have increased by about 6% this year, and we continue to maintain our ACT scores. But as our students are successful, we are more successful operationally. And importantly for us, as you'll see on that bottom line, we were able to improve our fund balance this past year by about 36%, reversing a trend that has occurred over the previous years. That is important because it will position us well for the rainy days ahead. It's also important that we increase our research productivity. Next chart, please. Here you will see that over the last 4 years, our productivity has increased about 30% and about 8% in this past year alone. The important thing that I want to point to on the very next chart is the fact that the strongest contributor to that growth has been our research in the health and life sciences. Now, you've heard a lot about Dr. Bonewall and her research in mineralized tissue. In fact, what we've been able to do with the help of the system and with some key appointments is to focus on our strength in mineralized tissue or bone biology and urban health issues and our aspirations to be a critical player in the critical and transformative research. I won't go through this, but I will point you to that second bullet. You see, the second bullet is about a collaboration that we have between about 36 churches in the black community in Kansas City, the psychology department at UMKC, and the Kansas City Free Health Clinic. You see, you can make all kinds of strides in producing new healthcare procedures and introducing new medication. But if the patients don't take advantage of it, they won't get better. Now, what we've heard from the pastors in these churches is that they are absolutely tired of conducting funeral ceremonies long before they're due. So what they've said is that the members of their congregations aren't taking advantage of all of the healthcare procedures and the medication currently available to them. So this program, $1 million of that work is for us to take healthcare education to the pulpits in Kansas City. Very important work as an urban research university, trying to play its role in the health and life sciences. So I'll go on to the next chart and talk about our strength in the visual and performing arts. You know that we are the campus, the designated campus for the visual and performing arts. If you don't know it, the Kaufman Center for the Performing Arts will open in about a year. It's a $400 million facility that will absolutely be an arts icon in this country. It will focus on the unique arts culture in Kansas City, and importantly, shine a light on the University of Missouri at Kansas City. Because at UMKC, our faculty and graduates of our conservatory have founded over 14 of the major arts venues in Kansas City, including the Kansas City Symphony, the Kansas City Ballet, Opera, and so on. And as you can see in that last bullet, the Kansas City Repertory Theater has gained some national reputation. It is spreading across this country, and one of its plays, called Venice, has been rated by Time magazine as the best new musical in the country. It's a great performance. I'll move on, though, to talk about another element of our mission, which is to develop a professional workforce. We have said for some time that our role in Kansas City is to educate the workforce for Kansas City. In fact, we know that 75% of our graduates are still in Kansas City 5 years after they graduate, and the recent data suggests that that trend is continuing. We polled our recent graduates, and those who responded, 70% of them said they had a job, and 74% of them said that the job was in the Kansas City region. So we believe that's important, but also important is the fact that Henry Block, whose name is on our School of Business and Public Administration, soon to be called the Henry W. Block School of Management, he's very proud of the school that he has his name on, and it's because of the work that we've been doing in entrepreneurship and innovation. Kansas City has a unique history in entrepreneurship, and we have a host of entrepreneurs that surprise the rest of the world when they become aware of it. Our school of our Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation was ranked by Princeton Review as one of the top 25 in the nation among 2,300 programs with universities and with programs in entrepreneurism. This was last year. Recently, it's been the recipient of global awards for entrepreneurism. All of this is bringing up the profile of the university, and the global awards were about contributions to enterprise creation, and also about the work that we're doing in spreading the culture of entrepreneurism across all of the disciplines on the campus. Now, I'll also sort of wrap this up in a couple of ways. One, we are we do collaborate on urban issues. And if you would ask what is one of the top urban issues in Kansas City, it's all about K through 12 education. We are engaged in so many ways. We've probably talked before about the Institute for Urban Education. I work with the Southwest Early College campus. But the superintendent of the schools in Kansas City has gotten national attention because last year he closed 26 schools, facilities in the school system, and survived, which is something most can't do. He survived, but he and his entire leadership team are participating in an interdisciplinary PhD cohort at UMKC. They will actually write the book about the transformation of this system. In addition to that, our students in the School of Architecture and Urban Planning are participating with the school system in figuring out how to repurpose about 39 facilities that have been abandoned in the area. So we're trying to play our role within the school district, and of course our students in pharmacy have won just about every award you can win for community engagement. So if I go on to that last chart, then for us it's really about creating the kind of learning environment that our students need. You know, we've opened new facilities, living facilities on campus. We are transforming into a residential campus. Those facilities are full with a waiting list. Student engagement has increased with the opening of the student union. People in the community say they just love what's happening. They see more students. It just feels great in the area. We're having more of our games on campus now. I was telling Laura earlier, she stole my thunder when she talked about the fact that we're now in the Guinness Book of World Records for the robot dance. What she didn't know was that, you know, I was there for the dance. I did not participate. I told them if they played some music where I could break dance, I would really I'd get into it. But they didn't, so I didn't. But I think you ought to, I want to end by saying thank you for something. Laura yesterday also mentioned that we do a good job advising. We have great relationships between our faculty and the students, and I think it's just a part of the culture. The faculty that I know really, really care about students, and it's reflected in the way that they interact with the students. But we're not happy with where we are overall. We need to improve because it's not being reflected in the overall results in retention and graduation rates. So I want to personally thank you for your support of our efforts to create a new center for student success and the classrooms for the university. Thank you.
Well, welcome to University of Missouri St. Louis. It's always great to have the Board of Curators and all of my colleagues, general officers, and everyone else to attend a really exciting meeting here on our campus. My presentation is going to be largely just what's happened in the last few months rather than an overview for the whole year, although I'll touch on a few things that might be more annual. We just received word that we've gotten an award called the Greater St. Louis Top 50, and this is awarded by the Commerce Magazine, which is the magazine put out by the Regional Chamber and Growth Association, and this is given to companies, corporations who are shaping St. Louis's future. And you know, several universities received this award and a lot of corporations, and this is the second year in a row, actually, that we've received this award. Our enrollment keeps creeping up, and we've reached an all-time high this year of almost 17,000 students, and our ACT score keeps creeping up a little as well as our entering freshmen, and it's now starting to get close to 24. Most of our students, and I've mentioned this before, are transfer students, our first-time students. 3/4 of them are transfer students, and what I've listed here are our biggest feeders, if you will, to the university. And St. Louis Community College at Merrimack, St. Charles Community College, St. Louis Community College at Flo Valley, Florissant, the closest to here, then at Forest Park, and an interesting, Columbia is one of our largest feeders as well in terms of transfer students. We have 32 students that are listed as diversity students or minority students. 21% of our students are African Americans, by far more African American students enrolled on this campus than anywhere else in the state. And 24% of our students are enrolled now in graduate programs. We've been trying to get that number up, so we're still growing as a research university. I like to refer to us as a teenager in terms of university age. And also we have hundreds of international students, and interestingly enough, we have 100 countries represented on this campus, 100 students from 100 different countries. In terms of our spring semester enrollment, we're 3% ahead of last year, and we have every fall something called UMSL Day, where we bring a lot of prospective students and parents onto the campus, and we had a 50% increase this particular year, so I think that bodes well for enrollment going up even further. Let me just mention a few awards that students and faculty have received. For the second time, our free tax preparation program received a National Partnership Award for outstanding community service. And students go and prepare tax returns for those that are unable to do it or for those that can't afford to have someone else do it for them. And actually, interestingly enough, we had the third most returns nationally behind Brigham Young University and San Francisco State University. Kids voting received the Spirit of Justice Award, and this is given annually by the St. Louis Bar Association. This is located in our College of Education, and what it is almost 175,000 K-12 students in the region are instructed about the electoral process, and then nearly 100,000 actually go through a mock election. You've got a picture here of Sandy Diamond. Sandy, stand up so we can all see you in the back there, who runs this program, does a great job with this. Recently, Professor Kathleen Nigro of English and Gender Studies received the Governor's Humanity Award, and this cited her leadership in establishing a statewide reading program. Our criminology criminal justice program, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the graduate program is ranked 4th in the nation, continually by U.S. News and World Report. This is now 5 years in a row it's had that ranking. Richard Rosenfeld and Janet Lauritsen received what's called the Claude Fisher Award for Excellence. This is from the American Sociological Association, and they produced a critical review of the most dangerous crime rankings by Congressional Quarterly Press. And I must say that Rick also is very active and trying to give some truth in reporting in terms of crime statistics, particularly for the St. Louis region. Marvin Berkowitz received what's called the Good Work Award from the Association for Moral Education. He's our Sanford McDonald Professor of Education, and this recognizes achievement in moral practices. His character education is interesting. This particular program shows that when you go into the schools and teach students character education, their performance is actually better in their classrooms. So this is something which is it's proven to work. Very recently, Doug Smith and our College of Business Administration received a $1 million grant from the U.S. Federal Trade Commission to study credit agencies. And this is a working team between student and faculty to study the accuracy of information maintained by U.S. credit agencies. It's gotten national publicity, MSN Money Central, Yahoo Finance, CNBC, and our own local St. Louis Business Journal. The curators and general officers had dinner last night at the Lee Theater, our smaller theater at the Two Hill Performing Arts Center. I know that Two Hill is recognized well for all of the national, international programs that come in, and we do about 30 of those a year, but the bulk of the Two Hill, it's a teaching facility. And we had 30 student performances this semester, attracted 7,500 audience members. Separately, we've had 7,500 K-12 students this past semester attend student and professional performances. It's a great asset for teaching, and again, you had a chance to sample a little of that last evening. In terms of fundraising, this is a particularly interesting one that Eugene and Alice Meehan have bequeathed $800,000. And I mention it because they now have an endowment, a scholarship endowment up to $1 million, and it's a faculty endowment. That's the highest we've ever had from a faculty member for a scholarship endowment. I did mention last time that we're building what's called the Opportunity Scholars Program, and this is a full ride for first-generation underrepresented students, particularly focused in the STEM disciplines. And we keep getting more donations to it, and thanks to the help of David Farr at Emerson, we received a $300,000 gift from AT&T. I mentioned last time Energizer, David and Thelma Stewart from Worldwide Technologies have contributed to that. And we recently received $1 million in gifts, $500,000 from Ameren, $300,000 for U.S. Bank toward what's called Anheuser-Busch Hall. We're trying to raise dollars for the first phase of a new business building to bring all of our faculty that are spread around the campus as well as the teaching. And right now, over the last 2 years, we've raised nearly $10 million. The first phase is going to be $15 million, so hopefully we're getting very close to that particular phase. Grand Center, we hope to be able to break ground for that. That's going to be a new UMSL presence in the Arts District. That's where the St. Louis Symphony, Powell Hall is, the Fox Theater, the Sheldon, Jazz at the Bistro, and the list goes on. And we'll be located right next to public television, KETC. This is a lease purchase agreement with BC Development out of Kansas City, and with this arrangement, the developer pays the money up front, and then we use the dollars that we've raised to make the lease payments, and we haven't raised them all yet. We've raised about 2/3 of the dollars, but we expect to raise all the amount. It's going to be about a $12 million building. Very exciting, and many opportunities for partnerships with the entities there, as well as places like St. Louis University, which is located near to there. And my last slide is we have a gift for the curators. It's a book called More Than Just a Game. It's written by History Emeritus Professor Chuck Core, and it details a prison soccer league in South Africa. It's actually been made into a movie, shown at places like the Tivoli here in St. Louis and film festivals, and I think it's taking off, so maybe it'll hit the big screens at some stage. And with that, thank you very much for your attention.
It's really exciting to hear from all the chancellors and hear the good, positive things going on at each of your campuses. That's what we're here about, just to hear all those good stories and to support you as you're going about the business of educating these students. So thank you for all the hard work that you do. The next order of business for us is under general business. Looking at our consent agenda, I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to look that over. And at this time, I would entertain for a motion.
Move adoption of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Is there any conversation? If not, let's call for the vote.
Curator Bradley?
Aye.
Curator Carnahan?
Yes.
Curator Downey?
Yes.
Curator Erdman?
Yes.
Curator Frazier?
Yes.
Curator Good?
Aye.
Curator Haggard?
Yes.
Curator Russell?
Yes.
And Curator Wassinger?
Yes.
Okay, it's a vote of 9-0.
Next order of business is a report from the Academic, Student, and External Affairs Committee. Curator Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had several items of information, no action items to come before the committee yesterday. Vice President Graham went through several different areas. The first being a detailed report on the endowed chairs, and he went into some detail about the matching, the endowments that are matched by the state and those that are freestanding. And he had details by campus so that we could see where the endowment chairs are. The report detailed which ones were filled and which ones were vacant at this point, and there was at least a little bit of discussion about some of the openings and what is going on to fill those vacancies at this time. Steve Graham went through the fall enrollment report comparing this past year to 10 years ago, and some very, very good numbers in that regard. The enrollment for the university has gone from 56,000 to over 71,000, 15,000 increase in numbers, which is 22% increase over the 10 years. And if you translate that into FTEs, it's over 32, almost 33% increase. And that has been done with fewer resources, as we all know. And so, you know, the governor has asked higher education to do more with less, and I think there's some evidence that this university is indeed doing a lot more with less, and Steve's report is testimony to that. He also mentioned the fact that this university has increased our percentage in market share. We have captured almost 60%, I think 57 or something like that, increase in students for public education, which means that we are delivering a value, and the value that this university is presenting is being well received by the students, and so we should feel good about that. Steve next moved to a student success report, which involves students that are exceptions to our normal entry standards and how we monitor the success of those students. And the reports that Steve shared with us yesterday suggest that while there is a difference in the success rate for students that are exceptions to the general rule, that difference is fairly moderate, and it is being monitored very carefully, and we should feel good about that. He went through the governor's education initiative progress report, at least briefly, talking about the review of the programs where few students are enrolled and what is going on in that regard. So that, I think, summarizes Steve Graham's report. Next was a report from Steve Knorr, a legislative update, and all of you were present, I think, when he went through his report, and a big focus there was the changes that we are facing in the new legislators in Jefferson City. In the Senate, out of 34 members in the Senate, 12 are freshmen. So there's an educational need and opportunity there to have them understand the importance of the role this university plays in the state. And in the House, he pointed out of the 163 members, there are 79 freshmen out of 163, a huge number by any measure, and there again, that challenge to get our message across to those people in Jefferson City. I can recall this board's discussions going back 2 and 3 and 4 years ago, when one of our major concerns and a frequent discussion point was, how do we get our message across to those people in Jefferson City? And I think over the years we've made some progress in that regard, but that challenge is definitely still before us. Anyway, Steve's report focused on the challenges there with the new faces in Jefferson City. He also made it be known that we are prepared to enter the new year with initiatives that the university has already established, and work is being done in that regard as we speak, and we're ready to move into the new years. He went through some of the priorities that the university has already identified. I'm not going to repeat those, but they were included in the packet yesterday in a handout from Steve Knorr. And with that, Madam Chair, that summarizes the information items from the committee.
Thank you, Curator Frazier. Next report is from the Audit Committee, Curator Carnahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had an audit committee meeting starting yesterday. We had 4 information items and 1 action item. We started with a joint meeting with the Finance Committee and reviewed the 2010 financial reports. And then we moved into a report from Susan Eichhoff with KPMG, which was our external audit report. And we reviewed that, and then we moved into the 2011 internal audit plan presented by John Tvardik of PricewaterhouseCoopers. And we spent some time trying to get a better understanding. The materials were excellent, showing us where we had been over the last period of time, I think 3 to 5 years, and then looking forward into the next 3 years. And it's an evolving process, and I think the board is going to be more active in reviewing that and having a better understanding of the process. We went into a closed session with Mr. Tvardik later and reviewed and discussed how the internal audit, we all have a much better understanding of how this is working and some ideas going forward. And then the final informational item, we reviewed the matrix again, and I want to thank Nikki very much because she's the one who really authored it, as well as I think her addendum, which we have now incorporated as part of the matrix, describing the functions and the purposes behind both the external audit and the internal audit. And I think the audit committee moving forward and the board now have a much better footprint to work with our auditors and Nikki's office as to how to monitor and understand our financial statements. And we had an excellent audit report from our external auditors, which I think is reflected in the bond financing we were able to close last Wednesday. So.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Compensation and Human Resources, Curator Erdman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The committee met to receive a report from Vice President Rodriguez yesterday. She updated us on the vital work being done by the ad hoc retirement plan committee made up of faculty, staff, and other representations of the workforce. Their work continues. They're meeting mid-month this month, and we all look forward to receiving their report and looking forward from that point. Committee had no action items, and that's my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, Curator Russell, if you've got a voice.
Thank you. Got a little bit of a voice.
A little bit of a voice.
You know, I think in 6 years, this is the first time that our committee does not have any action.
We had a lot of action this week.
We did have several information items, including the report about the successful completion of our bond issue this week, and we appreciate the work of Nikki and John Miller on that. Probably the main information item that we spent the most time on was the beginning of the discussion of the 2012 tuition and fee increase. Nikki made the all members were present, but made the presentation on just the information that will set the stage for further discussion and possible action then in January. In the budget planning, and I think everyone saw that information yesterday, projecting total cost increases of about $71.7 million, and then revenue increases because of the student mix and increase in enrollment of about $14.4 million. Obviously then leaving a funding gap that Nikki emphasized was not going to be coming all from tuition increases. One of the points that I think that would like to make and acknowledge the work in the past of productivity improvements and new efficiencies is that work will have to continue in order for us to meet the budget in 2012. This week, and some of you may have seen that in a clipping, in the clipping service that we received, there was an article or a report from the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, and in it, it was looking at a 5-year period that ended in 2008, and it said that 9 of the Big 12 schools increased spending on administration. there were only 3 that decreased, and the one that decreased the most significantly was the University of Missouri. And so with that, I would like to commend the work of our general officers and really each of our campuses, because it is the hard work that they have in order to continue to look for those opportunities to decrease cost, to increase productivity, and we've heard year after year that they are working hard to do that. And here's an outside look at what's being done, and actually that just ended in 2008. Since 2008, in that not all of this would not have necessarily been coming out of administrative costs, but there was $98.3 million in 2009 and $70 million in 2010 in efficiencies. So I would just like to close my report by saying thank you to our leadership system-wide and on the campuses for the work that they've done in order to make sure that this university remains very physically sound. So, thank you.
The next committee then is our final one, and that's the Governance Committee. Curator Frazier.
The Governance Committee did not have an action item. The draft of the orientation program scheduled for new curators for next year was reviewed, and there was some discussion, a few items of ways to improve that. But that was the primary item. The assessment form, Board of Self-Assessment form, was sent out to the curators recently, and everyone was encouraged to return those with comments so that we can hopefully find better ways to run the meetings more efficiently and more effectively. There was also some discussion about the trustees meeting, the Association of Governing Boards, AGB, and encouraged new members or relatively new members to attend that if at all possible. Those of us that have been to that thought that it was worthwhile and very productive for the university. So it is an expense that is well worth the time and the expense. So with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Curator Frazier. We now move into information of good and welfare of the university. We're going to have some fun now. We're going to do some resolution.
One thing, do we do the benchmarks in December, Steve? Remember we have all those benchmarks that were supposed to be monitored, I think, by the board? I thought those were to be, is that in January?
January, because of the delay in being able to get the data.
All right.
Curator Carnahan, would you come up here with me?
That's trouble.
Now you're worried. If it's a roast or a toast, you're worried, aren't you? We value everything that you've done for us, and we'll begin with a resolution that Cindy is going to read just for you.
Whereas John M. Carnahan III has served the people of Missouri with distinction as a member of the University of Missouri Board of Curators since February 3rd, 2005, and whereas he served as chairman of the Governance Ad Hoc, Conflict of Interest, and Audit Committees, and whereas during his term of service, Curator Carnahan served on the Academic and Student Affairs, Resources and Planning, Compensation and Human Resources, Executive, and Governance Committees. And whereas under his leadership on those committees, the board adopted the Board of Curators Conflict of Interest Policy, established the Governance Committee, and developed the charter matrix for the Audit Committee, thus ensuring consistency in performing the functions of that committee. And whereas Curator Carnahan, striving for maximum board effectiveness, was a great proponent for continuing education for curators and board self-assessment, he encouraged the implementation of the Curators Issue Tracking System, and in the interest of transparency, a more informative curator website. And whereas Curator Carnahan was an advocate for ensuring that the university's outreach was felt statewide, particularly in Southwest Missouri, and was key to the scheduling of a board meeting in Springfield. His strong sense of community service translated into support of the university's service learning programs. And whereas as a member of the search committees for the president and general counsel, and with the appointment of a new board secretary, Curator Carnahan contributed to the smooth transition of the new board officers and the 22nd president of the University of Missouri system. And whereas Curator Carnahan was able to balance his law practice and his work on the Board of Curators with the important role of husband to his wife Jenny and father to his 5 children. And with the aid of today's technology, was the first curator to ever attend a board executive session while simultaneously attending a Pinewood Derby. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Curators, on behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the University of Missouri, and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Missouri, does hereby adopt this resolution in sincere appreciation of the dedicated and devoted leadership of John M. Carnahan III. And also that his future relations with the University of Missouri be formally recognized by bestowing the title of Curator Emeritus upon John M. Carnahan III. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Curators cause this resolution to be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that a duly inscribed copy thereof be furnished to John M. Carnahan III.
A new pin that you get to wear. That's the Curator Emeritus pin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, Doug, would you please come forward? We have to vote on these resolutions. They're right here. I'm
What if it
sorry.
doesn't pass?
We need a motion from the floor to accept that resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is the roll call? We gotta do all these little things.
Curator Bradley.
Aye.
Curator Carnahan.
Do I have a second?
Curator Downing.
Yes.
Curator Erdman.
Yes.
Curator Frazier.
Yes.
Curator Good.
Aye.
Curator Haggard.
Yes.
Curator Russell. And Curator Wassinger.
There was some question, wasn't there?
Now, Doug, to you.
Whereas Doug Russell has served the people of Missouri with distinction during his second term as a member of the University of Missouri Board of Curators, serving his first term from 1982 to 1987, and commencing his second term on February 3rd, 2005. Whereas Curator Russell served as chairman of the Academic and Student Affairs, Finance and Audit, and Finance Committees. And whereas during his term of service, Curator Russell served on the Finance and Human Resources, Physical Facilities and Management Services, Finance and Audit, Resources and Planning, and Executive Committees. And whereas Curator Russell's support and advocacy for cost controls led to significant efficiencies identified by the 4 campuses and system, resulting in the university's financial stability during a period of increased enrollment and declining state appropriations. His diligent attention to debt financing led to the development of new university policy and methods for financing capital projects. Whereas during a challenging economic climate, Curator Russell provided leadership in changing the asset allocation for the University of Missouri retirement and endowment funds to reduce volatility without sacrificing returns. Whereas Curator Russell served on the Presidential Search Committee, and during his term saw the university through the smooth transition of a new general counsel, board secretary, and the 22nd president of the University of Missouri system. And whereas his support for the Lewis and Clark Discovery Initiative resulted in funding for the University of Missouri Kansas City Pharmacy and Nursing Building, Toomey Hall Mechanical Engineering Building, and Missouri University of Science and Technology, and other research centers, labs, and facilities for the University of Missouri-Columbia. And whereas Curator Russell graciously sacrificed numerous evenings and weekends with his wife, Kim, and their family to attend to matters of university business. And while they had a newborn and toddler in the house during Doug's first term, on the board, during his second term, they graduated 2 sons, acquired 2 daughter-in-laws, and welcomed their first grandchild. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Curators, on behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the University of Missouri, and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Missouri, does hereby adopt this resolution in sincere appreciation of the dedicated and devoted leadership of Doug Russell. And also that his future relations with the University of Missouri be formally recognized by bestowing the title of Curator Emeritus upon Doug Russell. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Curators cause this resolution to be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that a duly inscribed copy thereof be furnished to Doug Russell.
And with that, I present you the Curator's Emeritus pin. Congratulations. Again, I entertain a motion to accept the resolution.
So moved?
Everybody want a second?
Second.
Okay, and let's call for the vote.
Curator Bradley? Curator Carnahan?
Yes.
Curator Downing?
Yes.
Curator Erdman?
Yes.
Curator Frazier?
Yes.
Curator Good? Curator Haggard?
Yes.
Curator Russell? You can abstain. Curator Wassinger?
Yes.
All right.
David.
All right. Whereas David G. Wassinger has served the people of Missouri with distinction as a member of the University of Missouri Board of Curators since February 3rd, 2005, and whereas he served as chairman of the Resources and Planning Committee for 5 consecutive years, and a member of the Finance and Human Resources, Academic and Student Affairs, Physical Facilities and Management Services, Compensation and Human Resources, and the Academic, Student, and External Affairs Committee. And whereas chairman of the Resources and Planning Committee, he was an advocate for transparency and accountability, resulting in the University of Missouri accountability measures implemented in 2009. And whereas during his term on the board, Curator Wassinger was a tireless proponent of affordability, advocating for low or no increases in tuition and fees. And whereas he was also an advocate for the responsible use of student activity fees on the system's 4 campuses. And whereas Curator Wassinger supported a review of the UM system retirement plan to ensure its future stability during times of economic hardship. And whereas as a member of the search committees for the President and General Counsel and serving during the appointment of the Board Secretary, Curator Wassinger contributed to the smooth transition of the new officers of the Board and the 22nd President of the University of Missouri system. Whereas he sacrificed countless business hours in addition to many evenings and weekends with his wife, Colleen, and their 2 sons, Alex and Andrew, to attend board meetings and represent the curators at commencements and campus events. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Curators, on behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the University of Missouri, and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Missouri, does hereby adopt this resolution in sincere appreciation of the dedicated and devoted leadership of David G. Wassinger. And also that his future relations with the University of Missouri be formally recognized by bestowing the title of Curator Emeritus upon David G. Wassinger. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Curators cause this resolution to be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that a duly inscribed copy thereof be furnished to David G. Wassinger.
And entertain again a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Call for the vote, please.
Curator Bradley? Aye. Curator Carnahan?
Yes.
Curator Downing?
Yes.
Curator Erdman?
Yes.
Curator Frazier?
Yes.
Curator Good? Curator Haggard?
Yes.
Curator Russell?
Yes.
Curator Wassinger?
Are we abstaining?
Okay.
I voted for myself.
All right. I voted for myself and make it unanimous.
All right. Curator Frazier. He's just sitting there relaxed. Here he comes. Unusual that we would have 4 curators leaving. The three have served their 6 years, and Bo, we're sorry to say, is leaving us early. Here we go.
Whereas Buford M. Bo Frazier has announced his intention to resign from the Board of Curators and has served the people of Missouri with distinction as a member of the University of Missouri Board of Curators since January 1st, 2007. And whereas during his term, Curator Frazier served as Vice Chairman of the Board from January 1, 2008 through December 31, 2008, and as Chairman of the Board from January 1, 2009 through December 31, 2009. And whereas Curator Frazier also served on the Compensation and Human Resources, Finance and Audit Committees as Chairman of the Academic Student and External Affairs Committee and Governance Committee and the Executive Committee. And whereas while on the board, Curator Frazier worked passionately to advance the university's mission of research and economic development, was a strong advocate for identifying funding for construction and renovation of academic buildings, and encouraged streamlining the university's selection process for investment managers. And whereas through diligent study and attention, Curator Frazier came to appreciate the unique and complicated financial structure of the university. And whereas Curator Frazier served on the Presidential Search Committee and during his term saw the university through the smooth transition of a new General Counsel, Board Secretary, and the 22nd President of the University of Missouri system. Whereas Curator Frazier led the initiative to close the salary gap between UM faculty and staff and their peers and continued to advocate for fulfillment of that initiative, and with a focus on the importance of employee development and job satisfaction, encouraged board approval of a new policy requiring an annual performance appraisal of all administrative, service, and support benefit-eligible employees. And whereas Curator Frazier dedicated countless hours of service and unquantifiable support to the 4 campuses and their unique missions, never foregoing the opportunity to speak to the importance of higher education, and during which time his wife Terry generously and graciously shared Bo in the first years of their retirement with the university. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Curators, on behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the University of Missouri, and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Missouri, does hereby adopt this resolution in sincere appreciation of the dedicated and devoted leadership of Buford M. Bo Frazier. And also that his future relations with the University of Missouri be formally recognized by bestowing the title of Curator Emeritus upon Bo Frazier. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Curators cause this resolution to be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that a duly inscribed copy thereof be furnished to Curator Buford M. Bo Frazier.
Vote on Bo.
Oh, vote on
Yeah,
Bo.
vote.
Give me something here.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Call for the vote, please. A lot of stuff going on here.
Curator Bradley. Curator Carnahan.
Yes.
Curator Downing.
Yes.
Curator Erdman.
Yes.
Curator Frazier.
Present.
Curator Good. Curator Haggard. Curator Russell.
Yes.
And Curator Wassinger.
Yes.
It is a time of change. All 4 of you leaving. Next meeting is going to be very different. Each of your faces and routines will be missed. Appreciate everything that you do. With the time of change comes election of new officers, new chair, and new vice. So I would entertain now a motion for the new chair.
I would like to nominate Warren Erdman, who is our vice chair now and has been on all the committees and is chairman of the Compensation and Human Resources Committee now, and done an admirable job.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Warren Erdman becomes our new chair, and we call the vote.
Curator Bradley.
Aye.
Curator Carnahan.
Yes.
Curator Downing.
Yes.
Curator Erdman.
Present.
Curator Frazier.
Yes.
Curator Good.
Aye.
Curator Haggard.
Yes.
Curator Russell.
Yes.
Curator Wassinger.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'll now entertain we're going to hear from him in a minute. He's going to talk to you in just a minute. Nominations now for Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, I would like to nominate David Bradley for Vice Chair. David and I met some 35 years ago when he worked for the AP and I was in the Missouri House. We've gotten to know each other much better in the last year and a half. I really enjoy David's unique sense of humor, and I think that will add a lot to our process as we go forward. So I'm honored to nominate David.
Thank you.
I would second the nomination.
Right. There is a motion and a second that David Bradley will be the new Vice Chair. Call for the vote, please.
Curator Bradley?
Present.
Curator Carnahan?
Yes.
Curator Downing?
Yes.
Curator Erdman?
Yes.
Curator Frazier?
Yes.
Curator Good?
Aye.
Curator Haggard?
Yes.
Curator Russell?
Yes.
And Curator Wassinger.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Well, to all of my colleagues, again, thank you very much for that vote of confidence. Now I'd like to take a moment to make one last recognition in a morning filled with recognitions and recognize Judith Haggard for the outstanding service that you have performed on behalf of the people of Missouri, the University of Missouri, and the Board of Curators. As chairman, you've been an inspiring leader, and I look forward to following in your footsteps.
Here, and as outgoing chair, I get to pass along a wonderful book on the history of the University of Missouri. I would say to you that it is excellent to put you to sleep. But there's also some really good things in there, and I want to end with one of the last excerpts that comes from it, and it is, if any task is worth doing at all by the university, it is worthy of the very best, nothing less. It is not the quantity, but the quality that counts in the end. Congratulations.
That's lovely. Thank you. Well, I will treasure this on those late nights when other means don't get me to sleep. But let me thank Judy again on behalf of the entire board and express our great gratitude for her leadership. I also want to extend to David congratulations. I'm very honored to have you serve as vice chair with me during the year ahead, and thank you for your willingness to do that. Judy, on behalf of the entire board, the staff, and all of the stakeholders of the University of Missouri, we thank you for your leadership. Your quiet but strong conviction during the last year has served the university community well, and we appreciate that. Also, thanks for shining a spotlight on the university's e-learning program. This is a very promising area of our university's mission that you have brought clear focus to, and we're not finished with that work. It will continue. In the future, we will look back at this commitment to e-learning and realize how important it is. Your leadership in this area is going to leave a lasting impact. And as I step into your job as chairman, I want to take a page from your playbook. There are so many areas in the university that affect real people and real lives. And like you, I want to highlight those people and the work they do on behalf of our university. In 2008, President Forsey and then Curator Marion Cairns, who I admired greatly, initiated statewide research on Missourians' attitudes towards higher education. The findings of that survey revealed, among many things, a lack of awareness of the impact that higher education has on the success of our state. And make no mistake, the University of Missouri has a significant impact on the state's success. This void in public awareness of how our university advances Missouri must be filled, and I want to do at least a small part to try and fill the void. Since those poll results became well understood, the President's Strategic Communications Office has worked with the Mizzou Journalism School, its student and faculty, to develop a public awareness campaign that I have chosen to support and bring focus to in the coming year. This campaign will draw on the theme Advancing Missouri that President Forsey has begun to use, and use wisely. We need to turn up the volume on the many stories our fellow Missourians need to hear about the aggregate impact that our 4 campuses have on the success of our state. and how individually and together they are advancing Missouri. Through real-world examples and stories told by the faculty, staff, students, and alumni, I look forward to shining a spotlight on how all 4 of our campuses and their affiliated missions are advancing Missouri in a variety of dimensions, from health and economic development to education, the arts, research, and innovation. All are advancing the quality of life for Missourians. During the board's normal report at the board meetings, I intend to yield my time to allow these stories to be told by the people themselves who are impacting this change. Now, of course, during the year ahead, we will have a number of challenges to address and opportunities to explore. Preparing the university for the likely reductions in state support is something that our faculty and staff have become all too accustomed to. Unfortunately, we will need to be even more focused in the year ahead. I want to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude to the faculty and staff at all 4 campuses and at the system for the incredible work they have done to meet this challenge in recent years. The report that Doug just cited is outside evidence of that incredible work, and I know we all have enormous pride in what has been achieved. They are the ones who have navigated us through this tough water, through these rough waters. This is not a situation that we would have liked to find ourselves in, but we're in it. And we have the faculty and the staff and the university to thank for successfully navigating us through this difficult period. In the same vein, I would like to suggest that we're going to have to take a fresh look at tuition. After 2 years of no tuition increase and in light of the likely reduction in state support next year, I believe we're going to have to rethink how we handle tuition. The President has talked in general terms about decoupling tuition from the campus level, allowing our campuses to consider pricing undergraduate tuition to the unique markets that they serve. I support this differential pricing. I hope we might even eventually take it down and look at doing it to the undergraduate degree level. I think we're going to have to examine how we price to the market, and I believe this is an inevitable course of change that we will have to embrace. We already decouple professional degrees and graduate degrees from undergraduate degrees, so this is not an entirely new concept. But working with the committees and the members of the board, this is an area that we will explore in the year ahead. Our campuses each serve a different market, and I think we need to allow them this concept of tuition pricing flexibility to better price to the market and deliver the best value possible for all of the customers and stakeholders of our institution. At the same time, we owe it to the families who in many cases are stretching, many who are borrowing, to make sure their sons and daughters have a chance for a higher education degree. And we owe it to them to be accountable for costs, efficiency, and value. I think we've done that, and I think the outside report Doug referred to earlier gives evidence of that. But at the same time, we need to make sure we deliver quality to our constituents. And in a time of declining state support, that will force us to think in new ways. I applaud the university and staff for embracing this change and for examining out-of-the-box thinking as we move forward into the challenging year that lies ahead. The university faces some difficult choices in our immediate future. In many ways, we can no longer push these choices down the road. But we take some comfort in knowing we're not alone. Other public universities around the country are facing similar challenges and similar choices. For example, many public pension plans will be grappling with how best to place their plans on a smooth trajectory for their plan beneficiaries in the future, while at the same time keeping their own institutional risk within some acceptable envelope of risk, just as we are doing. We want our total compensation and benefit packages to be attractive to our current and future workforce, and this will require us to make some choices. So some sort of change will be inevitable, and it will be up to us to make those choices. We must do these things if we are to achieve our objectives of a total and competitive compensation package for our workforce in the future. Like every other public or private institution that I'm aware of, we too must look at our other benefits and our other cost structure. The board, through the Compensation and Human Resources Committee, has spent a good bit of time considering this pension challenge, And I'm very pleased at the progress that has been made by the Ad hoc Retirement Plan Advisory Committee and the work that Betsy Rodriguez has done in this. In many ways, Betsy, we are relying on your leadership here, and we hope you'll bring back some good work. Recently, the board approved authority to issue $252 million in revenue bonds for capital projects to take advantage of Build America bonds and their very attractive interest rates. This was an important down payment on capital projects that are badly needed on our campuses and at the university hospital and clinics. However, there will be ongoing capital needs to meet, and we will need to work closely with the governor and the General Assembly to look for other ways to meet these capital needs. Leveraging future growth can only go so far in financing our capital needs. It's an important step, but we're going to have a partnership in the future with the state if we are to meet the capital needs that the university will meet at the time of growing enrollment. At a time when the demand for our product, our enrollment growth, is disproportionate to our ability to expand facilities and faculty, where demand exceeds supply, and when the need for access and affordability for more and more students contrasts with the state's inability to fund capital or to fund operating support to meet these needs, it creates a unique conundrum and a great challenge that forces us as curators to make tough choices. I have every confidence that in the year ahead we will meet that challenge. As the General Assembly convenes in January, we will need a robust partnership with the state to manage through these issues, and by working together, I know we will find the answers. One thing that I have personally favored, and I might be going out on a limb a bit here, is in the area of extending the extremely important Caring for Missourians initiative that was funded on a one-time basis by the Governor and General Assembly, but now, most unfortunately, has sunset. This program provided vital funding for higher education to train healthcare providers that our state would need in the not-too-distant future as the baby boomers retire and need more services. Missouri institutions should train these healthcare providers. We should not rely on out-of-state training for these providers, and we should realize the economic benefit of that training here in Missouri. I have wondered if, given that Missouri has by far the lowest tobacco tax in the country at 17 cents, by the way, the next lowest is Virginia at 30 cents, neighboring Kansas is 79, Illinois 98, and the lowest state that touches Missouri, Kentucky, is at 60 cents. I've wondered if maybe a modest increase in the tobacco tax to permanently fund Caring for Missourians should be considered. It's just my own thought, and of course I speak only for myself, but I believe Caring for Missourians is vitally important to our state's preparation of healthcare providers for our aging population. And this might be an idea worth additional discussion in the year ahead. There are, of course, other alternatives, but I would like to find a permanent funding source for Caring for Missourians, and think this is one idea to at least be considered. There are many other things that could be mentioned today, but thankfully we have a superb system staff and campus leadership that are on top of things. I could not be more proud of our campus leadership. Our wonderful chancellors, the provost, their staff, the faculty, all at the campus level have earned our confidence, and we know that they will bring important issues to us when they need to. Toward this end, some of my colleagues on the board have mentioned their desire to have some less structured meeting time to think about longer-range planning and issues and challenges that we face. Yesterday, we talked about the members' desire to focus a bit deeper on the big issues and think more long-term. I hear that concern, and I felt it myself. Working with the President, I would like to find an opportunity when the board can meet without a specific decision item agenda, and instead devote a day or two to such long-range thinking. Possibly we could hear from outside authorities in the higher education field about best practices nationwide and the long-range challenges which are significant in the higher education sector. I'm not sure when this might be possible, but I do intend to work with the President to find that opportunity. Likewise, I hope the committee chairs who will be appointed will take the initiative to use our wonderful telepresence center to allow the committees to take that deeper look that we've all talked about at the big issues. And I urge the committee chairs to exercise their authority in that area. As the terms of the 4 curators we've just recognized come to an end, I want to recognize Doug, David, and John for the service they've provided to our university. It's always sad to say goodbye to a class of curators when their terms end, but for me, this class was especially hard. Doug, David, and John have all been important to me as my time on the board has matured. Doug's leadership and experience as a chairman of the Finance Committee and as a longtime friend, David's on planning and resources, and John's commitment to governance, transparency, and audit are inspirational to me. You all have been a mentor, and I thank you so much for your service. Finally, I want to acknowledge my colleague and classmate, Bo Frazier, who's announced his pending departure. Bo, we want to thank you for your leadership as vice chair and as chair. Your stewardship has been exemplary, and we are grateful for all you have given. We wish you well in your retirement, in your full retirement, and hope you will be a frequent visitor to these meetings. Of course, I can't close without saying something about Kathy Miller. I don't know anybody who doesn't love Kathy Miller. I certainly do. We will miss Kathy, but we will look forward to her smile and her inspiring attitude in the meetings that will come, and I want Kathy to know how much we will miss her service. Gary could not be with us today, and of course our prayers are with Sherry and Gary. While not with us in person, Gary is still very much engaged in the university's business through Steve Owens. He will be joining us again soon, and I know that he and Sherry will re-engage in the manner that we have become accustomed to, and we all look forward to that day very much. Let me close by expressing my deep and sincere gratitude to the Board of Curators for expressing your confidence in me as your board chair. This is certainly a very high honor, and I will do my best to provide an environment for each of you to exercise your fiduciary duty. As chair, it's my responsibility to create the environment for sound decision-making. At times, the chair will state a view, but for the most part, the chair must facilitate an open dialogue and allow for a neutral discussion of competing ideas. I will do my best to create that important environment. I will welcome your guidance and look forward to your suggestions. I'm very grateful to each of you for your expression of support. Thank you very much. With that, Madam Chair, I believe we have come to the end of the meeting and the end of the meetings for the year, and I believe a motion for adjournment may be in order.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the Secretary call the roll?
Curator Bradley? Curator Carnahan?
Yes.
Curator Downing?
Yes.
Curator Erdman?
Yes.
Curator Frazier?
Yes.
Curator Good? Curator Haggard?
Yes.
Curator Russell?
Yes.
And Curator Wassinger?
This is the first time I've ever. Congratulations to you.
I need your help. You know,
So maybe, you know, that tuition increase.
Actually, my wife, she said something to me about it. It's surely you're not even voting for
Hey, good to know you. I hope you We will. We'll get you on whenever you want to get out there.
Well, I'll come out and see you too.
Yeah.
You're over in
Call
Kansas
me.
City. You're willing to go north.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the hell. We got.
I don't know. I told you when we went up to out west, I drove through Sanko and on the express.
Bring the kids. I got a house to help everybody.
All right. Be careful. We may just take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be at the tailgate anyway. I don't know if I'll be in the stadium, but I'll be at the tailgate.
You too. Yeah, that's right. I'm not screwed up. Yeah, thank you. Good work with you.
All right, good to see you, Mike. Enjoy working with you. All right, Mr. Russell. I'm going to start heading that way. Well, I'm
Thank you very much. Good luck to you. I'll do that. Good to see you.
Wayne, yeah, good to see you here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look forward to keeping in touch. I will say.
You were the one that was reading me. Signed on or?
John, I'll get that stuff to you. Oh, there's no rush. Well, I'm going to give you 2 packets. I chaired for the past 3 years Learning for Life, which is 30,000 youth in all character education. This complements that, but I'm going to send you a packet.
You have the Robert's rules.
Those are the grades we deal with.
Does it ever get back?
No, we deal with those grades.
Very nice to meet you.
Stay in touch.
Yeah,
I'll see you around.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
I
then-
guess these things are life.
I guess not. I got another one now.
Yeah,
This
no,
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah, I think they're, I guess life not into box of football games.
I guess I'll flash that and see what it does.
Yeah.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
I have also enjoyed serving with you, my friend.
Sometimes you play that.
I had planned to visit the Giants cookie last night. And presented to you, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out, but I had some. So that was kind of inside story just to
It goes back to. But it's those type of things that you kind of bring special memories.
Yeah.
Good memories.
I have enjoyed serving with you. I hope we our paths cross.
Well, I'm sure if you'll make it back to Missouri, they will.
I plan to do that in the spring. We will come back.
We're going to basically stay from
Right.
all through spring.
We went down in October this year, and we'll come back and I'm still on our back. So you
What category?
but I don't stop.
Yeah, no.
2 or 3 days, take care of a few things, and then, but we'll come back and
Wayne, how are you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Yeah, saw you this week. Presentation. What? Yeah. Yeah, right.
Thank you. We'll miss seeing you. All right, good to see you. But I know we'll see you around.
I'll be around.
Your wife is, after all, representing my family, so.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when the students land there, you can,
on this campus.
Yeah, when they first started putting T-shirts on it, Karen Pierre over in Woods Hall would email me, and after about
Okay,
5
well, you have safe travels.
It sounds like you're
they stopped it a little bit every week or so. Oh, that's fine.
But I think we can get that resolved.
Yeah,
But
I'm
what
glad
I
the
think,
students
because I told her how I knew what you had to Oh, I'm sure. Thank you, Bill. Hi, good to see you.
Okay. Well, see you around. Safe trip. You too.
Yes, the search is
Oh, thanks
underway,
again.
and
We didn't get out of bounds too much.
I'm hearing rumors. I think you did just fine.
Good. Did you have a little whistle there you're going to blow?
I was going to speak up pretty loudly if I needed to.
It's well underway, and it's a national search.
Yeah, I mean, we get one person that can blend all the stuff together. I mean, that's what you do everywhere else. I mean, we always.
So, well, you know, I went as far as I was willing to go with it, and it didn't work. Then I just said, this is what it's going to be. I wrote it, in case you couldn't tell. And then they did a couple of, well, can we change this or can we change that? And that was okay. But the basic structure of it, no, this is the way it should be. So, anyway, I'm happy, but it's well underway.
Several people that were on that original advisory board that I've run into every once in a while. Whatever happened to that?
Well, we are going to reconstitute the board, we'll bring it back with a new person, go from there. Because I think, I thought about reconvening the board, and I thought, let's just wait till we get the person hired. And then we'll bring you and everybody back, and anybody who still wants to be on it, we'll just put them back on. I think we'll add to it. But we'll let that new person help constitute.
No, I think that makes sense, to wait.
Because there's nothing really to say to them except, we got a search going.
Right, yeah. No, they have been, a lot of people just, whatever happens, that's really something that we should be doing. And not any criticism, they understand the financial situation now. It kind of fell apart in stages.
It did.
Then the money was the final stage.
So now we've got it structured.
Yeah. No, that's great, Glenn.
So, thank you, and we'll keep you informed as things go forward.
Thanks again, Wayne.
Okay, well,
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Right. I'm going to make sure that the entire record of those proceedings are shared with everybody.
That road.
I know. It's weird. Of course, you've been doing this all the time.
Congratulations. I tell you what, did a great job.
Well, with the people around us, how can you know?
You're exactly what we need in
Oh,
2012.
that's nice.
Clean that sucker out. Now I can get this in.
Yeah, we're going to have to work through all that. I'm not sure how that.
That's it. Very first meeting.
I told the shuttle is downstairs waiting.
Okay, great, thank you. So our shuttle's already down there.
Yeah, I just talked to the driver out here.
Good.
Where's the shuttle going?
Well, the shuttle right now is taking those guys back, or four of them to the airport.
We slowed things down on one matter in reference to.
Do we need to shuttle back to the hotel?
I'm trying to figure out who to follow over to the
Lodge?
I think it's a good process, but it was a
Is that clean?
that decision.
What's the exact location?
Well, that's going to be challenging.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know.
As I walk out the door.
Yeah, good luck.
Luck's with the guy with the green hair.
Well, thank you for being here with us.
I'll see you. I keep quiet enough. See you, Doug. I'll see you in
I hope you weren't bored out your,
No, I stayed awake.
good, good.
Judy, good job for the last year. Enjoyed working with you as chair.
Looking forward to next year. Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Oh, I got something to sign.
Hotel and the airport.
Yes, hotel to get my luggage.
Okay. We'll have whatever you want.
Well, I'm not going to take your stuff now.
No, please do.
Are you going down to?
Well, appreciate everything you've done and kind of getting us off to a smooth start in there like you did, and
Well, that's one thing I'll be glad to give up.
yeah,
Those
well,
reporters are terrible.
yeah. I kind of dealt with them throughout my career, so I kind of understand your apprehension about that.
Yeah. I'm amazed at how, well, you'll see when Gary's in there, he says stuff that is, sometimes I think, what is he saying? I mean, it's so indirect what he says back to him. There's nothing that's, a lot of times to me it's not very even answering the question.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I'll see you around.
Yeah,
I know that's what people
I'll
do.
need to discipline myself because I tend to just be straightforward.
Well, me too, and I think that's the way I operate.
Yeah.
So I don't hardly know
I
how to do
kinda
that other stuff.
lay out what I'm thinking and then let the chips fall, but
Right. Tell you what my daughter told me. She said, "Mom, when you get to that point, she said, you get a story, you stick to it, and you don't do anything else. And whatever they ask you, you go to that story. They'll be so bored with you that they will quit."
that's called staying on message.
That's staying on message. That's right.
That's the first thing they teach in
And you're
campaign.
in the place where you got lots of it. See, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
just hard work. I got my girls pretty well educated. You not. Hell no. But I'm going to call them back and ask the question. If you choose to, you choose to.
That's right. Yeah, that's an important part of, communication is an important part of it. I do that at the railroad every day.
Do you?
You think about all the communities that the railroad affects. Every little community, there's always something.
They're going to take us to the airport.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. When Julie is able, I think we ought to have some.
Okay.
I think we ought to feedback we can give him.
Well, have a great Christmas. Just enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
We're planning on it. We've already got we'll pick up some gifts we ordered at REI. There's no freight. You pick them up in stores, so this is a good program.
He didn't see how full material.
Wow. You must have a great Well, I think we
Currently.
here, so I think we're here at campus. We just got everything running. Well, and the dividends come back, so the dividends come back. So you can
So in January. Not waiting.
Thank you so much.
Let's just start thinking through how.
Anybody staying or?
I don't want to cast the clouds.
Right.
Well, we had a little.
You too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
What?
So he's up there.